Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick here with you as always. Thanks for joining us for episode number 125. So today we've got Bulleit whiskey for you, but we've got it at barrel strength. So the classic Bulleit bourbon that you probably all know, love, or at least recall from your liquor shelves has been produced at barrel strength, which for this batch number 5 is 62.7% ABV. So what is that? 125.4 proof. So this is a Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey. So let's get right into it. So one of the first things I want to say though is and this has been talked about with a few whiskey reviewers, is when you go onto these websites that are marketing, to get you in the door, get you because obviously they know people are curious about their spirits, where it comes from, what makes up it, what the history is, different types of things that the distillery is doing in their local area, whatever and whatnot. But one of the things that they always do is try to get your birthday out of you. And there's some pages that will say, are you of the legal drinking age? Yes or no? Great. You enter or you are redirected out of the site. But most places will ask you what your birthday is. And so they're really just targeting different age groups and demographics to see who to market to, who's the ones looking out for it, and just another way for them to, gain more information about what they're trying to get out there to consumers and who's buying what and all that type of thing. We know in this world that we live in, of this sense of constantly being tracked, you can look at all those videos out there that are like, if you just have your computer open and you start talking to it, you're going to start seeing ads pop up for whatever you're talking about. It doesn't even matter if it's something you're interested in or not, just there. But anyway, getting back to the bourbon at hand, Bulleit Bourbon, their website does have the prompt for your birthday, and so I always just try to skew the results. I think I put in like May 4th 1926 or something like that, so I always just try to throw them off in that way. I do the same thing with YouTube advertisers, but just not for me. But anyway, we got this in the big old brandy snifter glass because it packs a punch, obviously, at that upwards of 62% ABV. It's got a lot going on with it. So you can look at the color, just a rich golden amber, reminds me of those beautiful fall autumn leaves crackling on the ground as you walk past for a nice autumn hike. There you go. So on the nose, you don't get an overwhelming sense of the alcohol burn that is to come for most people, but it's rather soft and unsuspecting. You get this really cracked peppercorn, a little bit of corn, but there's a subtleness to it, and I think it becomes apparent when you look at the original Bulleit bourbon, the no age statement Bulleit, which is the high rye mash bill, right? We got rye, corn, and barley all mixed together. But it's got sort of a fruitier sense to it, almost like candied apples. I always refer to like a lot of bourbons with like the red hot dollar candies, if you've ever had those. Really spicy, but still has a fruity sense to it. A little cinnamon-esque nature, some nutmeg, allspice. But anyway, I'm going to take a sip of this just at the barrel strength. That's how I've been drinking it the past few nights. Haven't added too much water, but I will just to see what happens with it. It's a really good tasting bourbon. Obviously, you got the kick in there at the 62%, 62.7. But the first thing that you get is this really creamy mouthfeel to it. And it's like cream corn or like a street corn type of thing. I eat my corn straight up off the cob. Just pick it up, walk around the street with it. But a lot of people will go for the street corn style. And, it's got butter, garlic, and all that sort of thing. That's what I'm liking this to. It's got a really creamy mouthfeel to it, which was interesting when I first tasted this because I did not expect it. I expected the bite, but not this really velvety, smooth texture that's going on in it. And I really like it because it carries through a lot of the things that I got in the nose. So I'm getting a lot of the cinnamon, nutmeg, the cracked peppercorn spices, but I'm also getting a really smooth vanilla on the middle of the tongue. And it sort of just like trickles out into this like biscuity. You feel like you got like a beautiful like home-cooked southern meal all boiled and distilled down into your glass, which is just really nice. Now, I'm not sure, because I was a little bit thrown off initially. I tried getting on to Bulleit's website with my phone, and it kept saying, connect to Facebook. Facebook wouldn't let you connect to it. Put in the birth date. It wouldn't accept the birth date, so you couldn't get into. Had to go on my laptop, which is why the whole disclaimer about that to begin with. But one of the things, you don't get a lot of information from Bulleit, and last I checked, I thought that they were going to be getting a distillery if they don't already, because one of the things that you see on the bottle, the labeling, you probably can't see it from there, but it says, and I quote, bottled by the Bulleit Distilling Company in Louisville, Kentucky. So you got to be careful with the marketing, because when it says bottled, it's not just saying it's distilled in. They want you to know that it's bottled in Louisville, Kentucky. So it makes me think they're getting it from somewhere else, even though I thought they were getting their own distillery. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look up the current news on that, but I could have sworn that they were maybe they're in plans to do that. But as far as I know, when I look at this, all it says is bottled by the Bulleit Distilling Company. And when I go on their website, all I can really find is how they make whiskey in general across the entire board, and also some other like frontier style projects they're doing, which is cool and interesting, but it doesn't tell me much about the whiskey. So you got to watch out for that. You got to watch out for the distractors. You got things like that try to like steer you into this like warm, fuzzy, feel good type of thing where they're going to talk about, yeah, it's great. They talk about doing art with tattoo artists, this huge wall they're doing, some like neon signs, and all those things in and of themselves are absolutely beautiful. But like I said, the distractions. There's constant distractions in this world that we live in now. And for me, whiskey is one of those things where I can just be like, sit back, just enjoy it, and not have to worry about all the other crap that's going on. So just watch out for the marketing ploys. Definitely with a little bit of water, and I didn't add much, you could see there. But it's bringing in a little bit more of the fruits, a little bit more of the cinnamon, red hot dollar candies that I was talking about. Definitely got some cherries going on in there. Black licorice, I cannot talk. A little bit of menthol in there, wintergreen, pine trees. It's almost got a real good slant to the Christmas holiday season coming up. One of the things that changes, though, with even a little bit of water, is you'll know initially there's no strong this peppercorn spiciness to it. What you get is a really sweet, sweet corn around the edges of the tongue. Just really very sweet. And it almost seems, right when you taste it, that you've added too much water. But not to fear. Literally a second to half a second will kick in after that initial thought, and you'll be like, oh, okay, there it is. But it's this weird thing where it comes in. I don't know if it's because, it's not really numbing the flavors, or you wouldn't taste it at all. But it's got this initial, just really sweet, watery, not really creamy at this point, sweet corn going on in there. And then that sort of takes a back seat, and everything else follows afterwards. It's amazing at the 62.7% ABV that you don't need to cut it drastically for there to be a good palatable, proof for you in the glass. It's really something that you can sort of take your time with. I imagine if you're into making cocktails or mixing it with something else, or even on the rocks in the summer, it could be really versatile bourbon to go to. Now, I will say I did get screwed when I went and purchased this and sort of let my pride get the best of me, which I will not do again. But went into the store, just looking around. Okay, yeah, I've reviewed Bulleit before. I don't believe I've done the 10-year. Maybe I have, I don't know, or the rye. But I saw this, and I was like, okay, we should probably get back to the bourbon side of things this week. And so I picked it up, but there was no price tag under it. Well, I said, well, the normal bourbon isn't that expensive, and the 10-year is about, $60, $70, okay, factor in tax and all that stuff. The barrel strength can't be that much more. And sure enough, I get up to the register, and, the lady's all nice. The lady was actually taken aback when she rang it up, sort of like looked at me. I don't know why, or what I infer from that. But it was $114 after tax. Now, we are in a high-taxed liquor state where I'm at, so it may be different where you are. But yes, I know, and I've looked around at other places, people selling it for 60, 70, 80, 90 on the high end. So, I don't know. Looking back, sort of like going backwards from the post-tax price, it's not too far off, but it's definitely higher than I'd want to pay. But, that's one of the things is around here, I can't really find a good, like mom and pop liquor store where the people know you and the people are good to you. And you can sort of like see the owner and be like, oh, hey, what's up? Or, like, have you seen this come out? Or back where I used to live on the East Coast, the dude would be like, oh, we got this new rye that they're, rum that they're making across the river. Like, just started doing it. I was like, okay, I don't really experiment with rum too much. Let me taste it. Beautiful. But you don't get that same kind of connection here, which is sad. But anyway, if you do have a place like that, if you do have a good connection with your local place, feel free to leave it in the comment section. Let me know. It's probably good publicity for them. We see all the bad reviews that are out there, right? So let's make sure we give a good positive shout out to those who are, taking care of us, taking care of other people, doing some good in the community, or just providing you some good whiskey, good liquor at good prices, and sharing in the mutual enjoyment of that. So, anyway, that's it for episode number 125. I hope you'll join me next week when we review something else interesting, probably an Irish whiskey. So, until then, if you're going to drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time.